hard by a great forest, dwelt a poor woodcutter with his wife and his 2 children. The boy was called Hansel and the girl Gretel. He had little to bite and to break, and once when great dearth fell on the land, he could no longer procure even daily bread. Now when he thought over this by night in his bed, he groaned and said to his wife, "What is to become of us? How are we to feed our poor children, when we no longer have anything even for ourselves?" "I'll tell you what, husband," answered the woman, "early tomorrow morning we will take the children out into the forest to where it is. Leave them alone. They will not find the way home again, and we shall be rid of them." "No, wife," said the man, "I will not do that. How can I bear to leave my children alone in the forest?" "Oh, you fool," said she, "then we must all 4 die of hunger." And she left him no peace until he consented. The 2 children had also not been able to sleep for hunger, and had heard what their stepmother had said to their father. Gretel wept bitter tears, and said to Hansel, "Now all is over with us." "Be quiet, Gretel," said Hansel, "do not distress yourself. I will soon find a way to help us." And when the old folks had fallen asleep, he got up, put on his little coat, opened the door below, and crept outside. The moon shone brightly, and the white pebbles which lay in front of the house glittered like real silver pennies. Hansel stooped and stuffed the little poker to his coat with as many as he could get in. Then he went back and said to Gretel, "Be comforted, dear little sister, and sleep in peace. God will not forsake us." And he lay down again in his bed. The next day they all set out together on the way to the forest. When they had walked a great distance they stopped. The father said, "Now, children, pile up some wood, and I will light a fire that you may not be cold." Hansel and Gretel gathered brushwood together as high as a little hill. The brushwood was lighted, and when the flames were burning very high, the woman said, "Now, children, lay yourselves down by the fire and rest. We will go into the forest and cut some wood. When we have done, we will come back and fetch you away." Hansel and Gretel sat by the fire, and when noon came, each ate a little piece of bread, and as they heard the strokes of the wood axe they believed that their father was near. It was not the axe, however, but a branch which he had fastened to a withered tree, which the wind was blowing backwards and forwards, and as they had been sitting such a long time, their eyes closed with fatigue, and they fell fast asleep. They walked the whole night long, and by break of day came once more to their father's house. They knocked at the door, and when the woman opened it and saw that it was Hansel and Gretel, she said, "You naughty children, why have you slept so long in the forest? We thought you were never coming back at all." The father, however, rejoiced, for it had cut him to the heart to leave them behind alone. Not long afterwards, there was once more great dearth throughout the land, and the children heard their mother saying at night to their father, "Everything is eaten again. We have 1/2 loaf left, and that is the end. The children must go. We will take them farther into the wood, so that they will not find the way out again. There is no other means of saving ourselves." The man's heart was heavy, and he thought, "It would be better for you to share the last mouthful with your children." The woman, however, would listen to nothing that he had to say, but scolded and reproached him. "He who says a must say B, likewise," and as he had yielded the first time, he had to do so a second time also. The children, however, were still awake, and had heard the conversation. When the old folks were asleep, Hansel again got up, and wanted to go out and pick up pebbles as he had done before, but the woman had locked the door, and Hansel could not get out. So he took some bread from the cupboard. In the morning their mother awoke them, saying, "Get up, get up." And they left the house, and went into the woods. On the way into the forest Hansel crumbled the bread in his pocket, and often threw a morsel on the ground. Hansel, however, little by little, threw all the crumbs on the path. The woman led the children still deeper into the forest, where they had never in their lives been before. Then a great fire was again made, and the mother said, "Just sit there, you children, and when you are tired you may sleep a little. We are going into the forest to cut wood, and in the evening when we are done, we will come and fetch you away." When it was noon, Gretel shared her piece of bread with Hansel, who had scattered his by the way. Then they fell asleep and evening passed, but no one came to the poor children. They did not awake until it was dark night, and Hansel comforted his little sister and said, "Just wait, Gretel, until the moon rises, and then we shall see the crumbs of bread which I have strewn about. They will show us our way home again." When the moon came they set out, but they found no crumbs, for the many thousands of birds which fly about in the woods and fields had picked them all up. Hansel said to Gretel, "We shall soon find the way," but they did not find it. They walked the whole night and all the next day too, from morning till evening, but they did not get out of the forest, and were very hungry, for they had nothing to eat but 2 or 3 berries, which grew on the ground. And as they were so weary that their legs would carry them no longer, they lay down beneath the tree and fell asleep. The sun rose. They awoke and went on the way. After a time they came to a strange-looking house. Delicious aromas of meat, bread, and seasonings emanated from it. They entered through the door, and found a table laden with strange dishes upon it. They walked over to it, and started ravaging them. Suddenly a strange woman appeared. "Oh, you poor children," she said, "you must be so starving to break into a person's home and feast upon their food. I will make you a delicious meal to fill your bellies." They feasted upon her meal, and ate all sorts of delicacies. They were so tired that they went to bed soon after. In the morning they ascended the stairs to the part of the house where the table was. Upon the table were 2 lowly bowls of porridge. "What is this?" children said. "Yesterday you treated us to a feast, and today all we get are 2 measly bowls of porridge." The women replied, "I do not have the means to give you a feast each day. I would run out of food in a fortnight." Gretel said to the woman, "If you cannot feed us well, then there is no use for you," and the children converged on the woman and attacked her. The fight lasted for a short time until the woman fell. The children stood above her, and Hansel said, "I guess she's dead. What shall we do?" Gretel replied, "We eat her,